Hey you guys, so the new trailer just dropped and there is so much information here. Final Fantasy characters, playable Kairi, and so much more was introduced here. I won't waste your time, so let's jump right into it. The first scene opens with a shot of the castle in Radiant Garden. We hear a voice talking about how he must still be here if they remember him. This voice belongs to Aerith, and Yuffie and Leon appear alongside her. This is a nod to when Sora was sleeping and everyone forgot about him. It's weird how they say this though. Does that mean because Sora's heart was deconstructed, he ceased to exist for a bit? Anyways, the characters look fantastic in the new shader, and I'm so glad we were able to see them here. This seems to be taking place after the events of Kingdom Hearts 3. Is this when Sora uses the power of waking to go after Kairi, or is it after he brings her back? It wouldn't make sense, really, for them to be looking for him after he went to go save Kairi, unless it was taking a long time and they started to get worried for him. The next scene shows Ven's station being overtaken by darkness, before darkness swirls around Sora. When he opens his eyes, he's in front of a Dark Inferno. In the compendium for Heartless and Enemies, we see that Dark Infernos are actually kind of heartless, so there are multiple ones. This one has a yellow color to it rather than the red hint that the initial Dark Inferno has. I believe this does not come after Ven's scene though, since the scene cut here is very quick. I do think though that these Heartless have a connection with the Union leaders or Dandelion leaders, since they do both appear in the Keyblade Graveyard. Also, if you look at the tail for the Dark Inferno, it is extremely similar to the Starlight Keyblade. Anyways, the next scene shows Aqua in the Keyblade Graveyard as she looks up at a swarm of Dark Aquas. This symbolizes the fear and despair Aqua feels. Sora is glowing with a white aura, which we see later is connected with him jumping to the different stations with the power of waking. Maybe each person has darkness inside of them, and it takes on different forms depending on which heart we are in. For Aqua, it is a swarm of dark versions of herself. The next scene shows Terranort, and the fight seems to be taking place right where the 13 Seekers had gathered. This was seen in the last trailer, though that was a fight between Terranort and the Lingering Will. Sora is also not glowing, so maybe that means he only glows for a brief period when entering into the heart of the person. Or this could be in the real world after Sora changes things and comes back into the past. Terranort says, seeing as you have also taken the Forbidden Path, you too must be ready to make the ultimate sacrifice. Who else had taken the Forbidden Path though? Is the ultimate sacrifice to cease existing, since we do see Sora disappearing at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3? My question though is this Sora diving into Terra's station, or is this happening after the fight with the Lingering Will? I want to say it's the former, but we don't really have any context or evidence for either. The next scene shows what I believe to be the Guardians of Light point of view after Sora goes to fight Xehanort in Escala. Though it may not be, since the vessels are here and they are all using the No-Name Keyblade, so the Keyblade hasn't been formed yet, I guess? We do see keyholes flying around though, which was an effect of the Keyblade seen in Birth by Sleep, and the Kingdom Hearts is already overtaken by darkness, which is what happened when Xehanort formed the Keyblade and took over Kingdom Hearts. Anyways, we don't see a health bar in the HUD, and it looks like we'll be switching between a bunch of different characters while fighting. We have an attack option and an aerial dodge option. I'm really interested to see how this will work. Will it switch off in time intervals to the different characters, or will we be able to manually change between each character? Riku's combo is similar to his air combo when you're controlling him. When it switches to Xion, we see a reaction command called Twisting Counter available. This may happen after successful aerial dodge, or maybe a recovery when you're hit. Ven's special situation command is called Storm Rider. We see him cast air around himself before it switches to Roxas. Miracle Hour is his command, and it shows 8 beams of light circling around him before he pushes them outwards. This does insane damage, especially compared to the chip damage that was being done by the previous attacks. We then see all of the Guardians of Light back to back as the Seekers surround them. You can attack, which shows all the different characters targeting the enemy in front of them. The command menu has switched out aerial dodge with Reflega, and during the attacks we see one of the Seekers have a red aura covering them before he flips and attacks. This is probably the tell you look for to use the Reflect command. We usually see Barrier in the command menu, so maybe this will also counterattack the enemy. Also, with them adding in Reflega, I wonder if this is a subtle hint to more magic for Sora. After the successful guard, a situation arrow appears. I think this will be a giant attack rather than the single attacks we saw before. Also, I guess we will have some kind of health, since there really wouldn't be a need to block attacks if you didn't. The next scene shows Luxord asking Xigbar about the black box. He asks why now if the black box was so important, and we aren't really given any more context after this. It fits in nicely though with the first Remind trailer. Luxord asks why now, and then goes on to say that doesn't make a difference to him, and decides to keep playing dumb. The next scene shows a conversation between Riku and Demyx. This seems to be after the Riku replica is dealt with, since the replica body is laying right next to Riku. I guess this is how Naminé got her body. Demyx came and grabbed the replica body and returned back to Radiant Garden. Riku and Demyx never met during Kingdom Hearts 3, so it makes sense why he'd be on guard. Next up, we get to see more combat and what the command menu looks like for these data battle-esque fights. It confirms that these are data battles, at least in my opinion. The data bits around the top and the nobody-themed command menu makes me think we're going to stumble onto another training ground like we did in Kingdom Hearts 2. If this is connected with Escala, I would love to see this room that was used in Union Cross for the Organization 13 event be used here as well. Though that was in Daybreak Town, and I guess they could somehow make it work with Daybreak Town being right beneath Escala. Anyways, got a little off track. The command menu kind of gives me the World That Never Was vibes, but we don't really have any evidence of that. We also see Sora using the Oblivion Keyblade here, which is always nice to see. The first data battle is against Terranor. The Guardian is charging up what seems to be an unblockable attack, as seen by the red glow around the fist, as well as the spike shooting out of the ground. The next scene is Xemnas during what seems to be his DM. Sora now has Oathkeeper equipped. Xemnas has a long attack where he does a slice with his blade, before kicking downwards and then flipping out of that kick with another kick, as an orb spawns shooting out thorns. When hit by this attack, it seems like Sora gets a status effect with thorns circling around him. The status effect appears to lock you out of your command menu. The next fight is against Dark Riku. Sora is in dark form, and we can clearly see the kanji on the front of his pants is the same as the kanji making of the blade. I theorized about that, and it seemed pretty similar to light form, which had the same kind of theme, but it's nice to have that confirmed. It seems like Riku was able to guard and punish Sora's attack, which is really interesting. As Sora flies away from the counterattack, Riku appears above him and does a Dark Break-esque attack. Riku's blade is red, again probably signifying an unblockable attack. The mines also all blow up at the same time. I want to talk about this before, but the amount of combat strategy we are seeing in these trailers is fascinating. Back in the previous trailer with Vanitas, we saw multiple avenues being blocked off, so dodging was probably out of the question. Or at least you needed to dodge in a certain area, instead of just dodging randomly. With Dark Riku, he is going to come at you with an unblockable attack, so you're going to have to dodge, but this Arc of Mines is going to cut you off from dodging in that direction. If you mindlessly mash, block, or dodge, these data battles are going to be very rough for you. Ansem Seek of Darkness is up next, and there's an attack that seems reminiscent to his fight from Dream Drop Distance. Two orbs of darkness shoot out projectiles that Sora dodges. It's not really clear whether these are unblockable or not. Also, this doesn't seem to be a DM, but this is an entirely new area, which is interesting. Also, Ansem's Guardian is nowhere to be seen for some reason. Next up is Larxene, who seems to be doing her DM from the Keyblade Graveyard, though the screen is not darkened here. And instead of shooting around multiple times during her attack, Larxene shoots around twice before following up with another attack. So it's much faster than her previous DM. Also, you can see lightning at the end of the arena. I wonder what kind of attack triggered lightning so far away. The last scene we see is with Xemnas' Laser Dome attack, which is terrifying. Blocking seems to be working though, which is good. After all of that combat, we go back to some story scenes. The first scene shows Sora jumping up and using the power of Waking on Riku's station. He glows with a tealish aura. During this scene, Sora talks about following his heart and tracing the connection. This is probably right when he used the power of Waking in the Keyblade Graveyard. He is planning to trace his connections to reach Kairi. Riku's Station Awakening doesn't appear to be swallowed by darkness like Ven's was, so I wonder if certain stations will have like too much darkness in that person's heart, and Sora will have to like dive into them and fight the darkness in there, and some of them will just be filled with light like Riku's maybe. That's purely speculative though. Anyways, Kairi and Sora appear in the final world, and she admires how pretty it is. And then finally, we get to see Kairi fight. Sora is her party member during this, and we can see a dark purplish magic circle making up the battleground. The first attack appears to be a counter-attack for a barrier. Palpu Fruit Charms push out from the barrier. The next attack is a Strike Raid-esque attack that ends with Kairi teleporting and slashing to end it. We then see her Shotlock. We know this is her Shotlock since her focus gauge is being used. Usually when a Shotlock is used though, the Shotlock menu stays up during the attack. In the very first frame we can see the name of this Shotlock. Something Princess. The first letter seems to be an H, so it could be Heart, or it could be a K, which could be Keyblade. I'm not exactly sure. Let me know what you guys think down below. Anyways, the attack shows multiple orbs of light appearing around Kairi that start raining down and exploding as Kairi dives down and flies close to the ground. One thing I want to point out before we move on is Master Xehanort's Keyblades. The usual blue gazing eye is red. Also, I tried to count the Keyblades and I only came up with 12, though it is incredibly blurry. If there are only 12 here though, why is Kingdom Hearts consumed by darkness? That didn't happen until Xehanort called forth the Keyblade and took over it. I'm interested to see how they explain this whole fight between Xehanort and Kairi since she's supposed to be dead by this point, and I'm interested to see why the gazing eyes changed to red. In the next scene we get to see an explorable Escala at Kylum. In the first frame we see a reaction command called Examine, which shows Sora raising his Keyblade and changing the red orb into a blue one. Two spiraling lights spawn a rail that Sora jumps onto. There's no need to press a button though to get on the rail like in Olympus. It's pretty much just like the ice rail created by Blizzard where Sora automatically jumps on it. Right before it cuts, we see that the wall is scalable. The next scene shows us more of Escala and it looks huge. I wonder if all of this will be like places we can explore or if there are like barriers in certain areas. The next cut shows Roxas, Xion, and Lee getting ready to fight. A light shines from their chests, which may be signifying that they are Guardians of Light. This particular strike may be the clash between light and darkness that summons one of the 13 keys needed. It would be cool to see how those are actually summoned, since it wasn't really clear if the Seekers dying was what created it or the clash between light and darkness. Like, was it just one clash or was it multiple clashes? So hopefully this clears that up. Riku asks if Aqua is sure about traveling back to the Realm of Darkness, and Aqua says she is, since she isn't alone this time. I guess that means that Riku is traveling with her, but why are they going to the Realm of Darkness? Did they think maybe Sora's there? The last scene we see sets us up for the secret movie, I think. Chirithy warns Sora that he will vanish from this world, and without his powers, he won't be able to return. He starts running forward towards a dark figure in a night version of the final world. As he runs, we hear the first words that started this entire franchise.
I've been having these weird thoughts lately. Like, is any of this for real or not?
Yozora is revealed to be the dark figure, and the Remind logo appears. I think whatever he does with Yozora makes both of them end up in Shibuya, which will be the start of the next saga. Why are both Sora and Yozora thinking the exact same thing though? Ending up in the exact same area at the exact same time? Were both of them on the same exact path, or destined for the same exact thing? Anyways, that is all I have for you guys today. It felt really nice to work on such a detailed breakdown again. I'll be giving you this level analysis on all of the boss fights and form changes that come with the Remind DLC, so if you're not subscribed, be sure to do that. Also, if you want to see other breakdowns I've done, like some on the Remind DLC trailers or on the form changes, click the cards on screen. See you in the next one. We see that the wall is scalable. A scalable wall in Scala. That was so stupid.